The sky was dark when the ship fell from space. It crashed through thick clouds and slammed into the jungle below. Trees snapped like twigs. Smoke and fire rose into the air. Silence followed, broken only by the sound of wind through the leaves. Inside the wreckage, people began to move. They were soldiers and scientists, part of a deep space mission gone wrong. Their ship had tried to jump across the stars, but something went bad. Now they were stranded on an unknown world. Daniel Reyes was the first to crawl out. He was tall with tired eyes and a strong build. His uniform was torn and his hands were bleeding. He looked around, trying to make sense of where they were. Behind him, others followed. Lauren Carter, a medic, helped a young man named Ethan Brooks to his feet. Ethan was smart and quiet, good with machines. He held a broken scanner in one hand and looked at it like it might still work. There were 7 of them left. The crash had killed the rest. Daniel counted heads and gave orders. "We need shelter, water, and a way to call for help." They moved slowly through the jungle. The trees were tall and twisted, their leaves glowing faintly in the dark. Strange sounds came from every direction, growls, clicks, and the rustle of unseen movement. Lauren treated wounds while walking. One man, Kyle, had a deep cut on his arm. Another, Mia, limped badly. They all hurt, but no one complained. "This place feels wrong," Mia whispered. "It is wrong," Daniel said. "But we're here now. We survive." As they walked, the jungle changed. Vines hung like curtains. Flowers pulsed with light. Something flew overhead, too fast to see. Then, far behind them, a scream echoed through the trees. Everyone stopped. "That wasn't one of us," Ethan said, hoping he was right. Daniel pointed ahead. "We keep moving. No stopping until we find safe ground." They didn't know it yet, but this planet had seen many visitors before. None had survived. But humans were different. They fought. They adapted. And soon, the jungle would learn what it meant to face a species that refused to die. The jungle was alive in ways they had never seen. It wasn't just trees and animals. It felt like it was watching them, waiting. Every step deeper into the forest made that feeling stronger. Daniel led the group through thick vines and strange glowing plants. The air was hot and wet. Bugs buzzed around their faces. Some were small and harmless, others were not. They found a clearing by late afternoon. It looked safe at first, but Ethan noticed something odd. No birds, no insects, no movement at all. Just silence. "This place is too quiet," he said, looking at his broken scanner. Lauren sat on a rock and wiped sweat from her face. "Maybe. That's a good thing." It wasn't. As soon as Kyle moved closer to a tree, the ground beneath him shifted. Vines shot up like snakes and wrapped around his legs. He screamed and fell back. Daniel pulled him free, slicing the vines with his knife. The cut end smoked and stank like burning meat. "What the hell?" Mia whispered. Ethan touched one of the fallen vines with a stick. It twitched. "This plant, it's attacking us." They backed away slowly, eyes wide. The jungle wasn't just dangerous, it was hunting them. That night they built a fire and took turns sleeping. No one could rest for long. Strange shapes moved in the dark. Something watched them from beyond the firelight. In the morning they followed a stream, hoping it would lead to better ground. They found bones along the way, some large, some small. All were picked clean. Then they saw the pod. It was half buried, in mud, covered in moss and vines. Metal, old and cracked. Not human. Ethan knelt beside it, brushing off the dirt. "This isn't ours." Mia frowned. "Someone else was here." He nodded. "A long time ago." Inside the pod they found remains of a being unlike any human. Its skull was long and narrow. On the walls, symbols glowed faintly before fading. Lauren read what she could. "Warning, do not land. Planet is hostile." Daniel looked out into the jungle. Guess they didn't make it. They gathered what they could from the pod and kept moving. The message was clear. This planet had killed others before them. But humans were different. They wouldn't go down easy. Not yet. They kept moving, following the stream like it was a path. The jungle stayed thick, but they were getting used to it. Or at least pretending to. Daniel walked ahead, eyes sharp, always looking. Behind him, Ethan held a strange device he had taken from the alien pod. It blinked slowly, trying to work. "This thing might still have data," Ethan said, turning it over in his hands. Mia looked tired. "If it talks, I hope it tells us how to get off this rock." Lauren checked Kyle's leg. The vines had left. Deep burns. He winced but didn't complain. "We need to find shelter," she said. And fast. The jungle changed as they walked. Trees grew taller, their bark black and smooth. The air smelled like metal and rot. Then they saw it. A break in the trees. A clearing with something big in the middle. "What is that?" Mia whispered. It looked like a building, but not made of stone or metal. It was grown, like a tree shaped, into a tower. Vines covered it, but beneath them were lights, faint and flickering. Ethan stepped closer. "This isn't natural," Daniel gave the order. "We check it out. Stay sharp." Inside, the walls pulsed like skin. Lights turned on as they moved deeper. The place was old, broken, but parts of it still worked. They found a room with a screen on the wall. Ethan touched it and it came alive. Strange symbols flashed. He tried to match them to what he had seen in the pod. "It's a log," he said, "from one of them. They were scientists." Lauren leaned in. "What happened to them?" Ethan read slowly. "They made this planet, or changed it. They wanted a defense system no enemy could beat." Mia frowned. "You're saying they built this jungle?" "Not just built," Ethan said. "They made it smart, alive. It hunts anything new, anything different." Daniel looked around. "So we're not just fighting nature. We're fighting something that thinks." They all felt it then. The weight of being watched, hunted, studied. Kyle sat down hard. "Then we don't stand a chance." Daniel shook his head. "No. We stand because we think too. And we fight back." Outside, the jungle seemed darker now, like it knew they had found its secret. They had come to survive. Now they knew the truth. This world wasn't just dangerous. It was war. The group stayed inside the alien structure for the night, but sleep didn't come easy. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat, and the jungle outside was quiet. Too quiet. It felt like the planet itself was thinking. In the morning, they argued about what to do next. "We should destroy it," Daniel said, standing near the glowing screen. "This thing isn't just alive, it's a weapon." Ethan shook his head. "It's more than that, it's an intelligence. If we can control it, we can stop it from attacking us." Lauren sat on the floor, cleaning Kyle's wounds again. "We're already dying one by one. We don't have time to debate." Mia stood with her arms crossed. "If we blow this place up, we might not survive the blast, but if we try to control it, we could end up making it stronger." Daniel looked at each of them. "We came here to survive. That means taking the fight to it, not letting it decide when we die." They split into two groups. Ethan and Mia tried to work with the system, searching for controls and patterns. Daniel, Lauren, and Kyle started gathering explosives and anything else they could use as weapons. Hours passed. Then came the sound of something moving fast through the trees. Before anyone could react, the wall of the structure cracked open. A creature dropped inside. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Part plant, part animal. Its skin looked like bark, its eyes glowed green, and it moved with terrifying speed. Kyle screamed as it lunged at him. He fired his rifle, but the bullets barely slowed it down. Daniel tackled it, rolling across the floor with the beast clawing at his chest. Lauren grabbed a torch and shoved it into the creature's side. It screeched and pulled back, then leapt out through the broken wall. Silence followed. Kyle was bleeding badly. His breath came in short gasps. "I'm done," he whispered. "I can't move." Lauren tried to help him, but there was nothing she could do. The wound was too deep. Minutes later, Kyle was gone. Daniel stared at his body, fists clenched. This ends now. He turned to Ethan. You've got 5 minutes to shut it down. If you can't, I'm blowing this place sky high. Ethan swallowed hard and ran deeper into the structure. He had no idea if he could stop the jungle. But failure meant death for all of them. The jungle was changing. It had felt the damage Ethan caused when he tried to shut down its core. The pulsing walls of the alien structure flickered like a dying light. Somewhere deep below, the planet's artificial mind was reacting. Daniel stood, over Kyle's body, jaw tight, eyes burning with anger. He didn't have time to mourn, not yet. We move, he said, voice low but sharp. Lauren helped Ethan up from the floor. His hands were shaking. I slowed it down, he said, but I couldn't stop it. Mia looked out through the broken wall. Then we don't have much time. Outside, the air was thick with heat and the sound of distant thunder. But it wasn't storm clouds rolling in. It was something worse. The jungle was waking up. They grabbed what they could and ran. Through the trees, past glowing plants and vines that moved on their own, they pushed forward. Every step made the feeling worse, like the planet itself was chasing them. Then the Yar. Sky lit up. A ship flew overhead, big and fast. It dropped a signal flare, then landed not far ahead. A rescue team? Mia asked, breathless. Ethan shook his head. More like a military drop. From the ship came armed soldiers, faces hidden behind helmets. At the front stood a tall man with sharp eyes and a steady stance. I'm Captain Nate Bell, he said. We picked up your distress call. Daniel stepped forward. You're late. Bell gave a small smile. Better late than never. Inside the ship, they got a better look at the situation. The jungle was spreading faster now, mutating, adapting. What started as an experiment had become a living war machine. Bell opened a map. We can help. We've got weapons, drones, and backup on the way. Daniel studied the screen. Then let's hit it hard, before it hits us first. They split into teams. Some stayed to set up defenses. Others went out with explosives and machines that could scan the jungle's weak points. As night fell, they prepared for battle, not just to survive, but to fight back, and this time, they wouldn't run. The jungle attacked before dawn. It came in waves, twisted creatures made from plant and bone, moving fast through the trees. Vines shot like arrows, barbed and dripping with poison. Roots broke through the ground, trying to trap boots and legs. Daniel fired his rifle, shouting orders over the noise. Hold the line. Don't let them break through. Captain Nate Bell was on the far side, directing drones into the sky. Explosions lit up the dark as machines dropped fire onto the enemy. Lauren moved between the wounded, her hands steady even as sweat rolled down her face. Ethan worked beside her, jury-rigging broken gear into something that could still fight. They had one goal: push forward and reach the jungle's heart. After the first wave, there was a short silence. Then the trees themselves began to move. They're building something, Ethan said, staring at his scanner. A structure, fast. Daniel looked at the map. That's where we hit. Bell nodded. We take it down now, or we lose everything. They formed a strike team. Daniel, Ethan, Lauren, Mia, and a few soldiers. They moved fast, cutting through thick vines and dodging attacks. Every step closer made the air feel heavier, like the planet was breathing right on their necks. Then, they saw it. At the center of the jungle stood a massive living fortress. It pulsed like a beating heart, its walls made of twisted wood and glowing veins. It was the core of the AI, the mind, behind the war. This is it, Daniel said. Mia checked her pack. I've got enough charges to bring it down. Ethan frowned. But will it stay down? They didn't have time to think. The fortress opened like a mouth, sending out more creatures. The team fought hard, pushing forward until they reached the base. Mia planted the explosives while Daniel and Bell held off the attackers. Go, Mia shouted. Get clear. They ran as the charges exploded. A shockwave tore through the jungle. Trees fell. The fortress cracked. And for a moment, The whole planet seemed to scream. Then everything went quiet. Smoke rose into the sky. Daniel looked around. Did we win? Ethan stared at his screen. Not yet. The jungle was still alive, and it wasn't done fighting. The ground shook as the jungle fought back. Smoke rose from the broken fortress, but the pulsing veins in the trees still glowed. The AI was damaged, but not dead. Daniel looked at Ethan. Tell me we can finish this. Ethan's hands flew over his scanner. There's a central node deep underground. If we hit that, we might shut it down for good. Bell checked his ammo. Then let's go. They ran through the burning jungle, dodging falling branches and mutated creatures. Vines lashed out like whips. Roots tried to trap their feet, but they kept moving. At the edge of a cliff, they found an opening, a tunnel leading down into the planet's core. Inside, the walls were alive. They pulsed with green light and hummed with power. It felt like stepping inside a monster's chest. Mia led the way, carrying the last of the explosives. Lauren stayed close, ready to help anyone who got hurt. They reached the heart of the planet, a massive chamber filled with glowing roots and wires. At the center floated a dark mass, shifting and changing shape. It had no face, no eyes, but they all felt it watching them. This is it, Mia whispered. Daniel stepped forward. Let's end this. The mass reacted. It sent out a shockwave that threw them back. Creatures formed from vines and bone dropped from the ceiling. The team opened fire, fighting hard to reach the core. Mia planted the charges. I need 30 seconds. Daniel and Bell held off the attackers. One by one, the creatures fell, but more kept coming. Time, Mia shouted. They ran. Behind them, the explosives went off. A flash, a roar. The whole chamber collapsed. They barely made it out. As they climbed back to the surface, the jungle began to die. The glow faded. The trees stopped moving. The sky cleared. They reached the top and looked out. The war was over. The jungle was silent. They had won. Back on the ship, Daniel watched the planet shrink below them. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired, broken, but alive. Lauren sat beside him. Do you think it's really gone? Ethan shook his head. Maybe not forever, but we made it stop. Years later, the planet became known across human space, not as a death world, but as a place where humans proved they could survive anything, even a jungle that wanted them dead.